Hello, it is I, Dharma, also known as your entertainer, also known as the Demi-Omni Queen, and welcome back again today. And today, I wanted to talk about a story that, for some reason, I didn't think about talking about before now. And this is a story about coming out to close friends. Now, what's different about the story is the circumstance. I have found myself lucky to be surrounded by a lot of lovely people, including my family, who are okay with the gay. But there are going to be people in your life that are not going to be okay with it. And there comes a point where you choose whether or not to hold on to them and hope that maybe they'll change their minds, or if they're just too toxic, whether or not to let them go, and things like that. Now, while I can't comment on those stories because I have not found myself in those situations, I have found myself in a situation. So, let's call this girl Brandy. Now, Brandy is a bit older than I am, and one of the things that you have to understand about Brandy is that she comes from a very religious family, and there is nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that kind of complicates things because of the fact that I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community, not just in sexuality or in romance aspects, but also in the aspect of my very gender, which has frequently been changing over the last few, even just days. So it's one of those things where you'd think we'd outright clash, wouldn't we? Well, that's not necessarily the case. You see, when Brandy and I met, it was quite a few years ago, and it was before I had even discovered the fact that I was a part of the LGBTQ plus community. It's when I was first experimenting with the concept of people even being gay in the first place. And this was a fact that I had mentioned to her. Now, I didn't necessarily notice the signs of those very relatively subtle signs of homophobia back then, because like I said, I did not identify as a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I was simply experimenting with it. And looking back now, one of the subtle signs about this was the fact that she didn't want to talk about gay characters, and in fact was actively against certain ones from her favorite shows. And at the time, like I said, I secretly supported the community in the back of my mind, but, I figured it was just one of those things. I don't really know. But either way, when we very, very first met, and some of these subtle signs came a little bit down the road when we very, very first met, I wouldn't say she was less religious, I wouldn't say that at all, but it wasn't as apparent to me. Of course, she would have special dinners on certain nights, and, she, and talked about God a lot, and talked about some of God's miracles in the modern world, but she didn't overly hit me across the face with it. It was just every once in a while where she'd mention one of God's great deeds in this world, and it would often come as a natural flow of the conversation, not just something out of nowhere. And so, because of this, I never really noticed these key differences between us. Now we fast forward to present day-ish, where we finally got to meet up again after a long while. For a while there, she was just kind of doing her own thing, but eventually we got to meet up again not too long ago. And we got to have a good, nice weekend together. And through that weekend, things became suddenly very crystal clear and apparent to me. And that was quite a few things. And I'm not saying any of this to criticize her, not in the slightest. There is nothing wrong with the way that she believes. But the thing is that a lot of the things she believes goes directly against my existence, which is something that can be hard to deal with. And not only that, but I also had to come out to her. Now, the thing that you have to understand is that this is a part of me, this is a big part of me, alright? And while I won't beat her over the head with gay jokes or memes or anything like that, I did realize I needed to let her know that I was a part of the LGBTQ plus community in some way. And I did my best to work it into the conversation as smoothly and nicely as possible, as to not, make her, uncomfortable or something like that, And she actually stopped in the middle of us walking and asked me, "So you're gay?" And I told her it wasn't really as simple as that. And the thing is that I don't think I handled this situation as well as I could have. Because I just said it wasn't as simple as that, and I promise I'm not in love with you, that's not what it is. And I fully admit I could have done this better. But I also keep in mind the fact that, like I said before, I am lucky to have pretty much all of my friends, the majority of the family that I really hang out with and like talking to all be supportive of this, of the LGBTQ plus community, and of me being in it, in the many different ways that I am in it. So, it's one of those things where I didn't really have a whole lot of quote-unquote practice with this, and as much as I had been mulling it over in my mind on the car ride there, I still didn't really come up with a plan of approach, other than I would try my best to squeeze it into the conversation as smoothly as possible. But the thing is I also let myself off the hook for part of my wording. That, the part where I said, well, it's a bit different / more complicated, or whatever I said. And that's because of the fact that because they're not really into the LGBTQ plus community, I didn't think that they'd know any of the terms. Now, of course, this could be wrong. They could know a lot of the terms. They could know what bisexual, pansexual, whatever means in order to avoid it. But at the same time, that makes less sense than them just avoiding learning too much about it at all. And so because of this, I felt that if I tried to really explain it, I would just make the situation more awkward and overly complicated and things of that nature. And I didn't want to push the envelope too far either, because later on that very same day, I had asked her if in her eyes I was going to heck. Now, there's a lot more to the answer than what I'm about to say, but the thing that stood out to me was the fact that she told me if I ever got a girlfriend, we'd have to reassess where we're at. And what I find most perplexing about that is just that itself. Because the thing is that being a person who is at least partly gay in some way, I'm not able to gauge right now, quote-unquote, exactly how gay I am. I'm not sure if I'm a lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, whatever at the moment. But at the same time, I'm not sure what she expects of me. I'm not sure if she expects me to suddenly change my mind on the dime and get a boyfriend. I'm not exactly sure. Because the thing is I'm pretty sure in her mind because I never gave her a straight answer to the question whether or not I was just straight up gay, she might think in her mind that I am just gay. I am just a lesbian. Which is fine. That's how I'm choosing to identify right now. But at the same time, she doesn't expect me to have these feelings towards anyone and act upon them. I don't know. This may just be me, but I find the statement very perplexing. Because if I was expecting a reassessment as soon as I said anything about the gay community. I was expecting a whoa. Are you gay? Or do you support gays? Or something of that nature. Right in that moment, I was biting my tongue the whole car ride there, expecting that there was a chance that this might have been it. Now, of course, because I do not currently have a lover, there's nothing, I guess there's nothing to really reassess at the moment, but at the same time, I find it interesting, and I don't know, I just find the whole entire thing interesting. Now, obviously, the next time we meet up, and if I do have a girlfriend, I'm going to say something about it, because yet again, your sexuality / romantic feelings are a big part of you, and if somebody can't accept them, then I don't know, I wouldn't say necessarily to immediately cut the ties with them, but really weigh in your head whether or not it is worth it to still have them in your life. And sometimes you don't even get the choice, and they'll cut the ties themselves. And that's one of the things that I'm really worried about the next time that I see her, because right now, I'm actually planning to get a girlfriend. I'm doing what's called manifesting. I'm sure those of you in my community will probably know what it is. I talked about it not too long ago and how I manifest and things like that. But I am currently using that method in order to get a girlfriend. I am telling the universe and whatever's out there in it, whether it be gods or, something else, that this is what I want. And I want it right now. And I have a feeling the next time that I do see her, whether it be later on this year or next year or whenever, that I'm probably gonna have a girlfriend. And I do fear that that might be the day we have to part ways. Possibly forever, maybe just for a time, maybe she'll change her mind in that time, but I also try to keep it in perspective and be real about it. Because a lot of times, especially when the family of the person is very much against something, they'll often stay against it too, because a family is a lot to lose. Even if it's over something that you believe in, you may believe in it less strongly, giving you less initiative to follow it instead of just staying with your family. So it's one of those things where I can see it going basically one of two ways, or actually three ways. One, the next time we meet and I do have a girlfriend, that will be it. And I'm sure from both parties it will be a tearful goodbye. She's not a hateful person. She's just grown up in the belief system that gay people and trans people are not good. And, it'll be a tearful goodbye from both sides, and that'll be it. Or she could take a heel turn and be like, okay, she could be okay with it. And maybe by some miracle, her family's okay with it too, or at least okay with it somewhat, better with it, I should say, which is the least likely thing to happen ever. And the last option, if she is the one I see happening more than this one, and that is I tell her, she's hesitantly okay about it, and is never able to tell her family about it, basically having a secret. Basically having this knowledge of me as a secret. Now, I think it's very much a coin toss between the first option and the last option. The second option I don't see happening except in a parallel universe where everybody loves everybody and everything is good. But when it comes to the first and last option, I feel like it's more weight in the first option's favor. And that's very saddening to me. I'm not going to pretend that it gets easy. It weighs on my mind. But at the same time, I'm also coming to terms with the fact that I might have to let her go. I love her like a sister. She is an amazing person. She is a lovely person. She's nice. She's a dog lover. She's an amazing person. But sometimes you have to realize that you need to let them go. And it's for a multitude of reasons. For one of the number one ones being for your own mental health. Because some people are not like Brandy. Some people are not like Brandy at all. Some people are toxic as crap about it. Some people are actively degrading you. And I felt a little bit of that when it came to Brandy, because sometimes she would say things without keeping in mind who she was with. She'd say things all like, don't watch that show. Oh wait, I guess you'd be fine with it. Which, she said it in a somewhat nice tone. I think she meant it way better than it came out. And I asked her, like, why would I like that show? And she was like, well, because in one scene a guy asks another guy out. And I just find that interesting, those little moments where that homophobia and transphobia comes out. I got a message from her once where schools were allowing transgender people to go to the bathrooms that they wanted, and her number one comment about it was ew. Now, this one got under my skin. Fiercely. It dug in. It hurt. Because while at the time I was exclusively going by she, her, it still gutted me how blatantly transphobic that was, and how much it hurt. But I also don't blame her either, because of a number of factors. The number one being that I had agreed with her when it came to a lot of the gay stuff she wasn't into, and how they were forcing the gay and things like that, and I agreed with her. And a lot of times I agree with my friends because of the fact that they're my friends and it's in the spur of the moment, and sometimes I don't actually think about what I'm saying, which is something I've got to work on, because I stand by my beliefs and I won't take jack crap from anybody about them. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it truly disgusted me. I had considered giving her a letter angrily stating, don't talk about gay stuff or trans stuff or anything to me ever again. But at the same time, I also considered the fact that she came from a very different place than I do. A very different, not quite as open place. Not maliciously, not in a malicious way, but in a we're doing the right thing by not being as open way. And it's just one of those things where it tears me up inside, because I have a feeling I know this is how it's going to go down the next time we see each other. And I have a feeling by then I will probably have a girlfriend. So, it's one of those things where I don't want to lie about it, because it's such a big part of my life, and about any person's life, really. Any person's life. That is one of the biggest things. And to not tell her about it feels much worse than losing her over it, because I don't want to stay by her side being a liar when we can go our separate ways and at the very least have been truthful in the end. So it's one of those where it's a tricky situation no matter which way it goes. And I don't doubt that if her parents or just family in general ever catches wind of it, either way, they won't really be on board with her talking to me or interacting with me at all. So I've also come to terms with that as well, that things can happen, on accident, on purpose, whatever. Either one of us could let it slip on them or something of that nature, or they could just find me on the internet and decide that it is over for her. And that's one of the most saddening parts of all this, is that even if she wanted to stay with me in some capacity, even if we just were pen pals and didn't visit each other in real life or things like that, that choice gets taken away from her. And like I said before, leaving your entire family behind over something that you were about really believing in the first place kind of seals the deal. So, yeah. The moral of the story here is that don't lose hope, at least not fully. Prepare yourself for the worst outcome, which I know it sounds horrible, but it's one of those things that you have to keep in mind, that a multitude of really crappy things can happen from coming out to a friend who you even have a sliver of thinking that maybe they're not really into that stuff. And, like I said, don't completely lose hope. I haven't completely lost hope yet. I know that there is always a chance. The chances aren't looking great, but there's always a chance. But I also don't keep my hopes too high either. I know the next time I go in with her, I keep in mind that I might be walking right back out. So, yeah, in the end, don't lose all of your hope, but keep your expectations realistic. Even if you're optimistic or cheerful or an amazing person, you could be the best person in the known galaxy. You could be Keanu Reeves, and people would still reject you for being gay, or just being a part of any community that they're not okay with, or whatever, So it's one of those things where don't lose all your hope, keep your expectations realistic, and keep this in mind and the most important thing I keep in mind during these times is to be truthful. The whole reason why I emphasize having to come out to her and telling her when I have a girlfriend that I have a girlfriend and things like that is because these are such big pieces of our lives that, first off, if we even attempted to hide them from one select or a few select people whilst telling others, they're gonna end up finding out, okay? Whether the beans are spilled by someone close to you or a gossip who listened to it from the end of the street, they're gonna end up finding out about your lies. It's just the lies always come undone in the end. And secondly, if they reject you after you tell them the truth, I don't think you need them in your life anyway. Especially when it comes to friends. Now, I know it can be much, much harder with family. And I honestly can't really comment on that because I have yet to come out to any of my family that may or may not be homophobic, transphobic, and or racist, or sexist, or all of the above. So, it's one of those things where I can't really tell you about that. I can tell you about friends. In romantic relationships, I'm just going to automatically assume that you've already come out to them since, they're the one that this whole entire thing is about. And that's the thing, is that keep in mind all of the people who still love you and respect you and are okay with you being the way you are. And know that their love will remain when the love of that friend does not. And that's the thing. You've got to keep the people close by you that respect and are okay with who you are and who you're gonna be. And you might lose people on the way. You probably are. People's opinions and lives change and things can go upside down in an instant. But those who stick by you throughout all of that, who are still okay with you for you, through and through. They're not okay with certain aspects of you. They are okay with all of you. Those are the people that you want in your life anyway. You don't want the people that are good with your personality, are good with your jokes, are good with all that. Oh, but don't say gay. Don't say gay. Because that isn't what you're looking for. You're looking for the people who love you through and through. Alright, that will love you no matter whether you're gay tomorrow, a lesbian tomorrow, whatever it is. You want the people who are gonna love you for you and be okay with the changes that you make to your body, to your mind, to any aspect of you, as long as you don't turn into a butthole, of course. But yeah, those are the people that you want in your life. The ones who are going to stick by you, no matter whether you're gay, transgender, intersex, non-binary, demigender, gender fluid, abrosexual, polyamorous. Who cares? You are you. And that's the important thing. Anyways, if you all want to, go ahead and check out the links in the description down below. The first one is to my podcast, Write What You Want to Read, Draw What You Want to See. Over there I give professional writing tips, tricks, and what not to do's, along with digital art tips, tricks, and what not to do's. I talk about a lot of gay stuff over there, just like I do over here. And speaking of over here, please do subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. The second link will be to my Redbubble shop, Rainbowrific, where you can be as gay as you want. We are not going to judge you whatsoever. Where the main highlight is the LGBTQIA+ collection with all of its gay stuff. We've got demigender, demisexual, demigirl, demi-boy pins. The main thing there is just pins. I've recently added androgyny and gender fluid, omnisexual, abrosexual pins as well. And also, if you don't find your pin, if you don't find your flag there today, it's possible that it could be out, or it could be in the making. So be sure to check back in over there, because I try my best to add some new stuff every week. And the last link is to my course, The Secrets to Digital Art with ProCreate course, where I teach you all the ins and outs in ProCreate. You will know everything about that juicy digital art software, while also teaching you a clear-cut, step-by-step schematic for how to create any piece of art, whether you're drawing a lion, or drawing a person, or drawing your own cat, a landscape, something abstract, whatever. This will teach you how to create anything. So, anyways, I will be seeing you all later, and on to the next one.